Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of The Chocolate Life Live. My name is Clay Gordon. I'm the creator and the moderator of TheChocolateLife.com. And today we are going to be taking a look back at 2022, the stories and the moments that stick out to me the most that I shared with you on TheChocolateLife.com, as well as what it is that I'm looking forward to doing in 2023. So with that little brief introduction out of the way, I would like to welcome everybody who's watching, and then also to say, please go into the comments, the live chat, wherever you're watching, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever it might be, and just let me know where it is that you're connecting from. I know that this reaches an international audience, and so it's always it's always wonderful for me to be able to acknowledge the people who are watching and the people who share where it is that they're connecting from, right? And so please, at any time during the hour, go ahead and do that. Although I realize, having said that, if you didn't watch it from the very beginning, you're not gonna know that I said that. Anyway, so let's get started with today's Chocolate Life Live. And I'm going to start it, and I think what is a good place to start, which is the current homepage of the Chocolate Life. For those of you who are regulars here on the Chocolate Life Live, you will know that one of the things that I do is I post a story. I do a post for every single live stream. And in this particular case, if you go to the Chocolate Life, you'll see that I have posted this story about today's live stream. And if you click into that, you'll be able to go and be able to see. So every single post has the links to watch it. So if you're watching it today or you're watching it in the future, you can get to it. And I've started a new thing for each one of these live streams, which is to create a concept map. I'm using a browser called Arc, and Arc has a feature called easels, and I create an Arc easel in which I sort of grab all the concepts that I want to talk about and sort of put them onto a page. It's a little complicated, but I will go through that. And I've linked to it. So at any point in the future, if you want to go back to this, you'll be able to. All right. So before I go too much further, what I would like to say is that even though the first part of this episode is about looking forward, one of the things I talk about when I think about looking forward to 2023 is about what it is that I want to do to improve the chocolate life. What can I do to make the user experience a little better? And so one of the things I've been doing between Christmas and the New Year's is I've been going through and doing an annual review of the navigation and some of the pages that the navigation points to. And so one of the things that's come up recently in a couple of different places is the fact that not all of the posts from the Chocolate Life dating back to 2008 are actually here on the current version of TheChocolateLife.com. And so what I've done is I've placed in the top navigation, there is a link to the Chocolate Life archive. And so now you can go to the archive, and here you can find all of the content that was posted in the Chocolate Life between 2008 and 2017. So it's very, very quick, easier for you to get to. Now, this is logged on. You can't join this site. You can't add content to the site anymore. It is literally an archive. But if you go and use the search capabilities, you'll be able to find all of the things that I was not able to migrate over to the new version of the Chocolate Life. And so that's now sitting in the top navigation of the website, so you can get at it easily. You'll also, and this may be something that people may not really be familiar with, but if you click on these three dots, what you'll do is you'll see there's more navigation on the top of the website, so you can learn about who the Chocolate Life team is. There are some frequently asked questions. This is interesting. All posts by tag. So what you can do here is you can click on that. And what you'll do is you'll see there's a tag which is called the Chocolate Life Originals. There's a tag called Op-Ed. Hey, Clay, what are the Op-Ed pieces? You can click here and you can find all of the posts that have been tagged Op-Ed. And that's something that I moved into this relatively recently. So here's what you'll do is if you're at all concerned about what the privacy policy is, you're concerned that there's a Digital Millennium Copyright Act violation, you see a bit of media or something like that you think shouldn't be here, you can click it there. You can click here to find out how to file a DMCA. Takedown notice, it comes to me personally, so I'm responsible for everything. I am the person who does it. There's a sort of administrivia announcement section, so how to use the website and other kind of stuff. You can go into the announcements. I will put links, I believe, to newsletters and other things like that as well. So this is where you go and find. So I'm constantly tweaking the top navigation of the website in order to make it more usable and useful to everyone as well, including moving about, which is about the history of the Chocolate Life. It used to be called Welcome and Read First, so I called about, and then how to contact us in case you want to contact us. So all of that is now in the top navigation. And this is one of the things that I do as a part of my annual review of the Chocolate Life. And I will be continuing to work on it as I go forward through the course of the year. So in this page, I talk about what are some of the improvements that are going to be made over the course of the year. One of the biggest improvements, I think, was in response to a Chocolate Life member who said, listen, I have a reading disability. I'm slightly dyslexic. The font you've chosen makes it very, very difficult for me to read the website. And so after doing some research on fonts and legibility and things like that, my developer and I, his name is Salahin, he and I worked to pick a font that would make the entire site more legible. And so when that happened, there were lots of little ripple effects having to do with the CSS and things like that. And so we had to address those as we came across them. This is one of the improvements that got made. I'm constantly looking to improve the search capability. So this is something that I am going to be focused on during the first 3 months of 2023. And those of you who may have experienced this, it's something I experienced for myself. I was twigged to it by somebody on Reddit, as a matter of fact, the chocolate subreddit, that this load more button wasn't working properly. It had never been a problem for me. What we had done is that Salahin and I had made some changes to the way the images up here were loaded. What they looked like, we were loading much higher resolution versions that we needed to. The aspect ratio had changed. We had changed these images down here, the size and their aspect ratio. And as a result, what happened is that we were just loading a lot of data onto the page. And that was causing some scripts and behind the scenes to go crazy. It took a little bit of time to figure out exactly what was going on, and it didn't fail in every single browser. So it worked in Safari, it didn't work in Chrome, lots of little crazinesses. So we ended up doing some work, and fortunately, the load more button is fixed. And so this is an example of, sort of the daily work that I do, and the weekly and monthly work that I do to continue to make the Chocolate Life more usable. I hesitate to use the word user-friendly, but certainly that's what it is that we're striving for. So I am looking forward, again, now looking forward to 2023. I'm looking forward to producing the Chocolate Life Live through the end of November. That's when my subscription to the software that I'm using here, StreamYard, expires. So I am looking forward to doing this for the next year. Will be something like episode 150 or something like that. And so, boom, that will happen at the end of November. I will evaluate what it is that I'm doing and figure out how to move forward. One of the things that has happened with StreamYard in the last month or so is that they have added the ability for me to host webinars. And the primary difference between just a live stream like this and a webinar is that in order to distribute it, I don't need to post it to YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So what I can do is I can send out a link to a registration form. People can register for the webinar, and then everything having to do with the webinar is hosted on StreamYard servers. I don't have to set it up to YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So the webinars, I think, are an interesting way to do more educational content. Things that might be a little more niche, might be a little more technical. It requires registration, and it also enables me to put together a series of webinars which are very, very technical in nature. So I could do a series on making chocolate in which I go through the process of making chocolate and talk about it in a series of steps. And people could subscribe to individual streams in the webinar or to the webinar series. So that's something that I'm looking forward to being able to offer in 2023. It does require that I upgrade my subscription. It more than doubles the price of my subscription on a monthly basis. But if you think that webinars, the ability for me to be able to create sort of a closed live stream, for want of a better term, which would enable me to do very highly tailored content, technical content, for which I might be able to charge something, let me know. Put it in the comments here in the live stream, or if you're a Chocolate Life member, you can go to the bottom of the page and let me know there what you think about the idea of webinars. I have some ideas for some of the things that I might do, but I'm really thinking very hard about how it will be done, and I want to respond to the needs of the community, just not what I think might be interesting. Something that I'm looking forward to for 2023 is I got a whole bunch of international travel possibilities that are looking forward to me. I'm continuing to work with the people in Brazil that I've been working with, in Portugal that I've been working with. I've got proposals to do some work in Ecuador. Ghana might be on the list for 2023. Liberia might be on the list for 2023. Going back to Bolivia could be on the list in 2023, as well as in Mexico. So I'm really looking forward to all the travels that I will be doing and the new content development opportunities that could be a part of that. Now, sort of hand in hand with the international travel component of this is some new in-person educational opportunities. And what that means is that I have been working with some friends and colleagues of mine who have a new chocolate factory in Arizona. They also work in new product development, formulation, and co-manufacturing for people. And we've been talking about taking a portion of their manufacturing space and being able to set up a school. So the school would have dedicated equipment in it, but it would also have access to all of the equipment that's in a real working chocolate factory. And so the idea would be to do a series of classes, mostly focused on making chocolate from bean to bar. We're thinking about doing 3 in-person classes a year in Arizona. It's about an hour from Phoenix. And each one of these classes would be focused on a particular group of people. So there might be people who are hobbyists who are looking to say, listen, I want to see if I want to turn my hobby into a real business. Then you might have people who are already in the business who are looking to grow. And then we might have something which are aimed at specific ways of improving the chocolate making technique. There's also some really interesting equipment in the factory. So for example, there's a one-shot depositor. And so we're interested in perhaps doing some classes which are associated with, how might I use specific equipment to solve specific problems in my factory. So that's it there. The fourth trip that we want to do, the fourth class we might do every year, would include a trip to a producing country. So for example, in 2023, because of the work that I'm doing that may take me back to Mexico, specifically the state of Tabasco, the trip that we would do for the classes would be a trip to Tabasco in Mexico. It would be during the Festival del Chocolate, which usually happens around Thanksgiving in November. And it would include visiting farms, visiting factories, eating some just really, really fabulous food, and just diving into the history and culture of cocoa in the state of Tabasco in Mexico. So that's when the new in-person educational opportunities come about. I'm looking forward to that, and combining it with the international travel component, as well as the remote educational component with the webinars, because certainly what I would do is I would say, listen, if you're a student of one of these classes, putting together a webinar on a regular basis to support what it is that we've been doing in the class would be something that makes an enormous amount of sense. And so that's how I plan to go and do that. As a part of the work that I'm doing with this factory in Arizona, so it's with a company called The Cow Consulting. I do work with them already. and they have a brand, Orinoco Chocolate Company. One of the things we've been doing is we've been working together to source equipment. And so I'm looking to find alternatives for tempering machines and for enrobers and for lab scale ball mills and other kinds of equipment that from other suppliers than are currently out there in the market. I'm a big believer in diversity. The more diversity that there exists in the market, the better things are. And so I'm looking for other equipment, including custom fabrication. So if you have a need for a particular piece of equipment, you're looking at one of the go-to companies and you go, listen, I don't see exactly what it is that I need. So one of the things that we're looking at is custom fabrication as well. So great engineering companies who can do custom equipment. As a matter of fact, I hope to be able to deliver the first line sometime early in the new year as a result of one of those collaborations. So new equipment opportunities are something really, really interesting. So if you're currently in the market for something, you can let me know. If you have an idea for something and you're not quite sure where to go find it, this is also a service that we will provide. We can help you. Listen, I've got 5 or 6 different possibilities for a particular piece of equipment that I'm looking for. I don't have brokerage agreements or any kind of commission agreements with 99% of these companies, but we can help you if you are having trouble making a decision. We can also help you make a decision based on exactly what it is that you need to do. We can help you make that decision. Right. So that is something that I'm also looking forward to do under the new equipment opportunities in 2023. Before I jump into the looking back portion of this, I want to jump over to my concept map. So this is the concept map that I put together for this. It's really, really crazy and all over the place. But what I want to do is I want to point out to 2 really, really important aspects of what's for me and what 2023 holds for me that are on this concept map. And it is the 2 areas here that are highlighted by these little arrows, these yellow arrows that go back and forth. So last Friday it was. I had an episode on the $100 chocolate bar. What would a $100 chocolate bar look like? We got some great feedback from people, an interesting conversation. I hope, Pete, you found it interesting. But one of the things that I am going to be working on in 2023 is actually introducing a $100 chocolate bar. And it's going to be a part of a multi-year effort. So we're going to take the conceptual framework that I've put together for doing this $100 bar and do an edition in 2023, an edition in 2024, edition in 2025, and so forth, all around the concept of the $100 chocolate bar. And as you might be able to tell, because you see my little avatar there, this is JR, is the avatar. I am going to be using the JR avatar as the primary branding for this $100 chocolate bar series. People know who it is. It's very, very distinctive. I've done a little bit of work on a design for packaging that I'm looking forward to. And so that is one of the things that I am really, really looking forward to in 2023 is working on delivering an actual $100 chocolate bar that is worth it just from the chocolate alone, right? That is worth the price of what it is that we're doing. I'm looking forward to introducing it in the 3rd quarter of 2023 in time for holiday gifting. So it will be a limited edition, and I think it's a great concept for what it is that I'm doing for next year. And I will be spending quite a bit of time on it. The other thing that I'm going to be doing, and people may remember part of the conversation that I was having with Spencer Hyman at Cocoa Runners about growing the craft chocolate market. And this is a topic that you spoke at Chocoa in 2022. I also spoke about Chocoa in 2021. What do we need to do to grow the craft chocolate market? And people who may have heard me talk about it will know I talk about, well, there's a lack of self-awareness, right? We don't know who we are. There's a lack of language that we can agree on there are a bunch of things that need to be done. And so I have an idea for how I can put together a global marketing campaign that people can join. It's a lot of fun, and I think that's part of it. It's fun. That I will be working over the course of 2023 to be able to spread widely. The idea is bring attention to the thing in craft chocolate which is uniquely identifiable, that makes it different from industrial chocolate. All right, and to do it in a humorous way and one that people can get behind, one that's really, really easy to understand. And these are two of the things that I am most excited for when it comes to looking at the work that I'm doing in 2023. If you follow me on Instagram, my account there is @DiscoverChalk. Follow me on Instagram. You may have noticed that one of the things that I did recently was I posted about some work that I had done with DALL-E, which is an AI image generator, and a related project called Chat.GPT. And I have started doing some work using the AI to generate images that are associated with cocoa, and haven't done any chocolate yet. I'm not certain I'm going to do that, but also to generate words. And so here we see 3 images which were generated by DALL-E using around cocoa pods, and a haiku. It's a fun. I mean, running through the engine and getting it to generate haikus is very interesting. It's fun. It's illuminating. I've also asked it to generate a Shakespearean sonnet about chocolate, and so this is here. Is it good? Is it bad? I don't know, but this is what came out, and it follows the form of a sonnet. You can decide if you like it or not. Let me know in the comments to today's live stream if you like the sonnet, if you'd like to see more of these kinds of images and more of these kinds of words. And then in addition to the images which are rendered around single cocoa pods, I've started a series of images around multiple cocoa pods. And just to give you an idea about, how good or how bad DALL-E is doing this. So this is an image, and I asked it to do a photorealistic rendering of a cocoa pod against a white background. And, I don't think it's photorealistic. It looks like a photorealistic rendering of a ceramic cocoa pod or a wooden cocoa pod of one color, but I don't think it's a photorealistic rendering of a cocoa pod. However, things get more interesting when you start asking it to render images in a particular style. So this is an image of a cocoa pod in the style of Pablo Picasso, again, against a white background. And here is an image, another Pablo Picasso style image. Now, whether you would look at this and go, it reminds me of a Picasso, I don't know the answer to that question, right? I think it's interesting. I mean, they're distinctive, and they're fun to look at. And, from, avatar and social media and other kinds of perspective, I think they could be very interesting. I think some of these would make beautiful t-shirts and other things. And so I'm going to be exploring using them in that way in the future. Some of them I don't get. This one is in the style of Keith Haring. I don't know that I would necessarily say Keith Haring if I saw this, but it's interesting. This one of my favorites in the collection so far is in an abstract expressionist style. I'm liking the boldness of it a great deal. I moved from the white background or a plain background into doing things against a grassy background. This one is in the style of Claude Monet. Here is one in a tropical background. It's in the style of Claude Gauguin. Here is another one in the style of Claude Gauguin. So when I type in the description, so the AI DALL-E generates an image based on a text description. And so the text description of this is a rendering of a single cocoa pod centered in a tropical setting, right? And this would be in a grassy setting, and this would be against a plain background. So here we are in a tropical setting in the style of Claude Gauguin, and it generates 4 of them, right? And then I can pick one of them and say generate another set of 4 based on this one. And I'll show you some of what that looks like later. But here's something in the style of the painter Juan Miró. Again, I don't necessarily know. This is what I think of when I think of Juan Miró. Here we have Vasily Kandinsky. Again, I'm not entirely sure that this reminds me of Kandinsky. Here is another Kandinsky. I believe that here's a third Kandinsky. This one I'm really liking for very many reasons. It's pretty good. I wanted to do a seascape, a tropical seascape at sunset in the style of Claude Gauguin. No cocoa pods in here, but I thought it was an interesting rendering, putting together piles of pods. So this is a painting of a pile of pods in a tropical forest setting in a realistic style. I didn't say photorealistic style, it's a realistic style. And I think it's quite an interesting one. Stylistically, this is from the same set of 4 of the previous one. This is, I'm like this a lot for a bunch of reasons. It appeals to me in a bunch of ways. It failed with pointillism. I asked, this one is in the style of Georges Seurat, and against a grassy background. And I'm not entirely sure what to think about this. Here's another Georges Seurat. I asked it to do against a tropical background. And this is, I think, a little bit more interesting than this one. I'm not at all convinced about that at all. But I mean, my question to all of you is, what do you think about this? Do you find these interesting? What do we think about the notion of an artificial intelligence engine generating Shakespearean sonnets and generating haiku? I asked it to write a history of how chocolate was made. And I will share that in another post going forward. I think I'm going to be putting together, I'm going to be doing some exploration over the course of the next couple of days and sort of where the limits are with this. And I will probably do a live stream about that early in 2023. But what do you think? In the comments today or in the comments to the post, let me know what you think about the idea of artificial intelligence. Do you like the images? Do you think it's worth exploring this going forward? How might they be used? All those kinds of things. Just interesting. If you get a chance to read the haiku or read the poem. Again, one of the things that I've done is if you go to TheChocolateLife.com and you go to the post, there is a link here, right? If you click on this link, it will take you to this concept board. It's a read-only version. You can't edit it, but you'll be able to go here and take a look at it and read things at your leisure going forward. Let me know what you think about that. And excuse me. So why do I think of artificial intelligence in terms of looking forward? Hopefully it's sort of self-evident. I mean, is it a part of our future? I think it's an inevitable that's a part of our future. But how are we going to incorporate it, I think, is the question that needs to get asked. I've been involved in one form of high technology development for over the course of 5 decades, since the early 1980s. And so the question of what the future brings is always something that's been a part of my mind. And so I'm interested in knowing what y'all think of that, because I would be interested in knowing how I should include it in what it is that, should I include it in what it is that I'm doing moving forward. So we're about halfway through, and I want to thank everybody who's joined me here today. I want to thank whoever it is who's out there who put the thumbs up. Again, if you can, like, comment, share, subscribe, please do that. It grows engagement. If you possibly can, right? One way to support The Chocolate Life is to become a member of The Chocolate Life. I appreciate everybody who does that. There's always a free membership level. It's not, you do not have to give me money to support what it is that I'm doing. So one way to do that is just join. You'll get the newsletters that I send out on a regular basis. You'll be invited to not only participate in these live streams, but I do monthly members only AMAs on Google Meet. You'll get invitations to do that. And another way to support at no charge is to please go ahead and like, share, subscribe on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram at DiscoverChalk, and Twitter also at DiscoverChalk, Facebook, all these kinds of places. These are ways you can support what it is that I've been doing and what I will continue to do, and without having to spend any money. So looking back on 2022, looking back, before we jump into that, I just want to thank whoever is watching from North Queensland, Australia. I just thank you very much for joining me. People may not know that I have a family connection to Australia. My ex-in-laws, my ex-wife, have family ties into Australia. I've had wonderful visits into Sydney and Melbourne. I'm probably one of the few Americans who know where Geelong is and Anglesey. The family is from Adelaide, which I think is the homes of Haig's chocolate. And I have deep affection for Australia. I think we slowly lose our senses if we rely too much on AI. And I won't disagree with you. If what we do is we rely on the AI, we rely on what it is that we're doing, and we lose critical senses, then I think we're not using the AI for what it is that it's good at. For me, and what I've been looking at ChatGPT and the text that it generates, it's very, very easy. I asked it to do a series of songs. So 3 verses, a chorus and a bridge, and do it in a hip hop style, and do it in a cowboy country and Western style, and do it in another style. And it starts repeating itself very, very quickly. There are phrases it uses over and over again in each one of them. It repeats in all of them. So there are some limitations, but it is an interesting starting point for me in terms of often, what I'm finding, it provides a starting point. And if I've got a point that I'm trying to make and I'm having trouble articulating it, so I've got writer's block, what I can do is I can formulate a question in ChatGPT, and it will give me a response, and I can then iterate on that response perhaps 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. And I can say, oh, it's provided me with a hook, something I can get my typing fingers into, and start writing about. And so I don't rely on the AI. What I do is I use it as a way of overcoming a temporary block. This is the way I've seen so far that it's become the most useful to me in the short term. I am really, really enjoying, because sometimes it comes back with things that completely surprise me, completely baffling. And so I'm having really, really enjoying that. So thanks for that question. From whoever you are at North Queensland Chocolate, I appreciate that observation. So again, jumping back into the whole idea, looking back at 2022, the first thing is that for me, 2022 was the first time that I had done any amount of traveling since the first part of 2020. So in early 2020, I was in Japan in January. Then I went to Amsterdam for Chocoa in February, and then I went to Finland and France and Belgium, came back to the United States, and then went to Brazil, all in that. And by the time, that was in January and February, and I was back in New York by mid-March, which is when lockdowns were occurring. And then I, basically stayed at home, as I think most of us did, for the next nearly 2 years. And so one of the things that was wonderful for me, looking back at 2022, was starting to travel again. So I went to Brazil twice in July. I went to Colombia in July, first time I've ever been to Colombia. I had an opportunity to return to Ecuador for the first time since 2005. In October, I then went to Portugal, my first visit to Portugal, and had an opportunity also to return to Venice. And I hadn't been to Venice since 1986. And so this was the highlight for me of 2022. For me, having firsthand experience going and seeing these things in person and being able to write and talk from personal experience is what's most important to me about the work that I do. And so I was really, really, really happy to start traveling again in 2022. Now, what you can do is that I have written a huge series I've tagged, right? Use a tag called travel logs. And so if you click on this, what you'll do is you'll see here is everything that was tagged as a travel log in 2022. So absolutely, you can go and see all of my reporting, all of my writing from all of my travels. Now, I did notice that, for example, I did not tag my trip to Venice, which was where I talked about, which is where I was invited to the Barry Callebaut second generation chocolate launch. It's not tagged as a travelogue, but there are photos of Venice in that. So you might want to go take a look at that story as well. So these are ways that you can keep up with me and the work that I did in 2022. And as I travel in 2023, I will continue to write travel logs and photo blogs and things like that you'll be able to follow up my travels. So part of this next section, not the rest of it, but part of the next section talks about what's been popular here on The Chocolate Life over the course of the last year. And what I want to say is that I work very hard to respect the privacy of the people who visit The Chocolate Life and the members. So the site does not set any cookies other than those that are necessary to be able to say, oh, yes, you are a registered member. And if you are a registered member, you have access to this content and not that content. And if you're a premium member, you have access to content that free members and just general visitors don't have. Otherwise, man, I don't set cookies. I also don't use analytics programs that enable the people who are doing the analysis to be able to track you all over the internet. So I don't use Google Analytics on the website. There's nothing here that Google tracks you on, just not. And so I don't use any advertising. So I'm not using Google AdSense or anything, AdWords, anything that can be used to track people as they go through The Chocolate Life. Yes, not making money doing it, but on the other hand, I think it's much more important to respect the privacy of all of my members and all of my visitors. I mean, there are so many invasions of privacy in so many ways. I try hard not to contribute where I don't have to. So I do use a tool which enables me to keep track of visitor statistics. It is compliant with the GDPR. So just for those of you who are in Europe, it's very, very important. You'll notice that there's no cookie thing. I'm not doing any tracking cookies. So there's no permission associated with tracking. I'm not in Europe, so I'm not doing that. But this particular software, again, it's not setting cookies. It's GDPR compliant. We're not tracking you around at all. However, it is able to keep track of page views and things like that. So that's what we're doing. So what I can tell you based on that is that most of the people who visit TheChocolateLife.com come from the United States. So from IP addresses that are associated with places in the United States, which is not surprising. But following the United States, Canada is next. After that, the United Kingdom, with India as the fourth country where visitors are coming from. And I thought that was pretty interesting. In terms of the top four countries, that India was in that top four. Most of you prefer to use the Chrome browser, okay? And most often you're using a desktop or a laptop computer. And most of the traffic that comes to the website that is not from internal links or from newsletters or things like that comes from search engines, with Google being the #1 external referrer. So, okay, which makes a lot of sense. Again, I don't need to do anything in terms of tracking cookies or personally identifiable information or any of that in order to be able to get at those statistics. But I wanted to share them with you. And to say, over the course of the last 6 weeks, I've had new member signups from Norway, New Zealand, Sweden, the Netherlands, India, Canada, UK, South Africa, Pakistan, and the Dominican Republic, including from the United States. So obviously, people from around the world are following me. And that's one of the things that has really inspires me to continue. The fact that I know that over the course of, since 2008, there have been over 15,000 registered members on the Chocolate Life, uncountable number of anonymous visitors coming from more than 160 countries on 6 continents. And so that reach is something that really, really does make me feel good about what it is that I'm doing. That the flip side of that is when I travel internationally, there's the chances are I know somebody or someone knows me, and so it gives me an opportunity to interact in a way I wouldn't normally have the opportunity to. So that part of the Chocolate Life is living my chocolate life. This is where TheChocolateLife.com helps me in terms of living my chocolate life. For those of you who are on Facebook, who might be watching this from South or Central America, I do run a group called Salones Internacionales de Cacao y Chocolate. I started this after I went to the Salon del Cacao y Chocolate in Lima, Peru, I think in 2014. I wanted a place where people who had gone to the salon would have an opportunity to connect with each other afterwards. It was actually called International Chocolate Salons or something like that. But it wasn't until I changed the name into Spanish that the group started growing. There are now more than 9,000 members. There are daily updates. Most of the people who are in the group are from Ecuador and Peru. And so if you're in that part of the world and are looking for another way to engage, there's a link here to the Facebook page. And you can, right? It's a group by The Chocolate Life. You can join it. Although most of the work, most of the things that I publish are in English, almost everything that gets published to the group is in Spanish and pertains to some project or program that's going on in South America. So because it says International Chocolate Salons, when I go to Chocoa, I will publish information about that. If I'm going to Brazil, I will publish information about that because it is about international chocolate salons, not just the Salon del Cacao y Chocolate in Lima. So having said that, the top 5 most visited posts in 2022, right? Again, this is coming from Fathom, which is the statistics program that I'm using. And this one is interesting to me. An updated list of equipment for small chocolate business. So originally published in 2013, which means it was on means it's on the archive site as well. I brought it over and I updated it. It occurs to me what I want to do is I probably need to go upgrade this. I have updated it already, as you can see, but I probably want to go ahead and update it again. But you'll notice that I also have all the archive comments from the archive site as well, so you can keep track of that. The next most popular post in 2022 was a post which was originally published in 2021. It's part of a series with Mike Lyskonis, which is a history of chocolate in New York City from, the mid 1800s to today, and this one particular post is the most popular of all of the posts that are in that series. And so I would recommend that you use that as an intro. And because it's on YouTube, I should probably put a YouTube playlist just for this, just for this series of 6, if it doesn't already exist. But it was a fascinating series. I did it on Clubhouse. And so it's an hour long, mostly audio. And then I took the images that Michael sent, which were on the pages here, and incorporated them into the audio. So that there is a video version of all of these things. So again, another post, right, that's also surprising to me. It's a story which is actually comes from the archive site. It's a store markup on chocolate bars. So this is a very hot topic. So how do I calculate what I should charge my chocolate bars, and how does what it is that the store, the retail outlet, how is their margin, their markup going to affect the final price of the bar, and what it is that I need to bring it in order to be able to make it reasonably attractive for people to go and purchase it. So again, this is probably the most surprising entry to me on the top 5 list. It's an evergreen topic. And this is one of the reasons why I go through these statistics. I can see what it is that's going on. I can see the topics that people return to from a traffic perspective, and it gives me ideas for things that I should do in the future. So being retrospective helps me moving forward in the future. So just wanted that. The number 2, man, this one is also really interesting to me. Frisch shogi is a trademark of a Swiss company by the name of Letterock. It's a form of bark. There's a Brazilian company, Dango, that makes a version called quebra quebra, which is Brazilian for break break. That's what it means. But these are very large scale barks. You can go into one of the store, buy squares, or just buy a huge plate of chocolate. Frisch shogi literally translate to fresh chocolate. That's what it means. And for some reason, people are really interested in Frisch shogi. Most of the traffic that comes to this page is from Google searches. And so all I can say is that when people are looking for Letterock and Frisch shogi, this particular post is very highly ranked in Google. And that's why people come and they learn about it, which is, I'm really excited to know. From an SEO perspective, I've seen stories on the Chocolate Life show up in Google search results in about 4 hours. So I'm also very, very happy for that. So when we look at other posts, honorable mentions that as a general destinations, the classified sections, so classifieds posts, you're going to find them here. You can go and you can find, for example, this was just listed yesterday. So a refurbished 1900s Lehmann Melanger. I mean, it's just in beautiful condition. As you can see, they've done an enormous amount of work. It's located in Bulgaria. If anybody is interested in that, it's available. But you can see what equipment is available. So it turns out that the classifieds is among the most highly trafficked sections of the website. And this has been historically true. Ever since I put a classified section on the Chocolate Life, it has been one of the most highly visited, if not the most highly visited areas of the Chocolate Life. So I did a Chocolate Life Live with Keith Ayub called Cadmium 2.0 Redux. But the most visited post in the website was not the version 2.0, not the update, but the original post that we did. The most visited post in December was this original post on cadmium. The most highly visited post in December for a post that was posted in December was the live stream interview that I did with Bhavani Virapaneni of DCM Custom Machines, Diamond Custom Machines on December. So there's a link to that there. And the most popular post of 2022 on thechocolatetelife.com was this post on what is the best grinder and melanger to purchase, with over 1,800 views from 1,500 unique visitors in 2022. And I believe this would have been in the top 10 in 2021 as well. So this is a really, really interesting topic people want to know much more about. I've done deep dives into melangers as part of the Chocolate Life Live. And, looking at the popularity of this was one of the things that made me interested in reaching out to Bhavani and doing something with him, because the whole topic of melangers is really, really interesting for people. So I can also go through and look specifically at the Chocolate Life Live and the live streams, and which are the most popular there as well. So over the course of 2022, originally published in November 2022, Where the Wild Chocolate Grows with Rowan Jacobson is the 5th most popular live stream on the Chocolate Life in 2022. Before that, it would have been with Sam Giha of Cacao Suyo, who's in Lima. Um, this one I'm really happy with. Breaking pairing boundaries, because how do you, thinking about how you pair and the conventional wisdom around pairing is something that is near and dear to my heart. I have, it's a topic that comes up a lot during the during the AMA. The monthly member AMA is like, how would I do this, and how, these kinds of things. How would I go think about pairing? One of the bits of advice that came up in a recent conversation was to go take a look at whatever you're struggling with pairing, and to think about how that flavor might be used in another cultural context. So for example, if I'm thinking about how would I pair, for example, chocolate and cheese, and I might say, well, how is there an interesting cheese, for example, in Scandinavia, and that is unique to Scandinavia? There is Brunos, Yetos. These are Scandinavian cheeses that are really unusual and very, very quite distinctive. But what you'll do is you'll find that something like Yetos and Brunos are consumed with coffee for breakfast. And so, with that, what you go is you say, well, if I'm interested in doing chocolate and cheese, maybe there's a way of incorporating chocolate and cheese with coffee, and thinking about it in a very, very Scandinavian context, because it's a Scandinavian cheese. That makes an enormous amount of sense. So thinking about things in a cultural context is a great way of thinking of just breaking down the barriers that are keeping you from moving forward in some of your pairing opportunities. So for me, it's been really, really valuable in thinking about that way. And I'm really, really happy that this pairing live stream was very, very popular. It's one of the most important, one of the most viewed in 2022. Again, even though it wasn't published until December, the most popular live stream was this one with Bhavani. The second most popular live stream was with Bhavani of Diamond Custom Machines. But overall, right, the single most popular live stream in 2022 was one that I did in May, talking about solar drawing. And my guest there was Diego Lara of Grain Pro. It was fascinating for me in learning about the use of solar technology in drawing and different ways of incorporating things. So just for everybody, if you go to it, what I did was I did a link to the YouTube channel. So there's directly to the YouTube channel. You'll be able to go and without having to go to the someplace on the Chocolate Life in order to be able to go and do that. In order to be able to watch the live stream. I didn't want to have the extra step. But if you'll notice here that there is a link to the Chocolate Life Live calendar. And here's a link to all the future streams. Here's today's stream. The next one's going to be on Tuesday, not next week. I'm not certain what it is we're talking about. But then there is this live stream archive. And here I have a link to every single live stream going back to the very beginning. And so if you're interested in for example, seeing this particular episode on greenwashing, this takes you to a post on the Chocolate Life. And there, what you'll do is you'll find everything that I've written about the topic, right, on greenwashing, sort of as the background for the live stream. And then there is a header, right, the live stream link header. And below it, what you'll do is you'll find the link to the video on YouTube. But if you're in LinkedIn and you want to see it there, or if you're on Facebook, you want to see it there, you can go and get links to these things. So however you want to go do it, you can go find this page, the Chocolate Life Live calendar. Now, at the moment, the Chocolate Life Live calendar is here posted in the top rail. It's always there. Now, one of the things that I'm looking to do in 2023, moving forward, is I'm looking at doing more sponsorships for want of a better term. I'm renamed them sponsorships into partnerships. So working with companies to be able to develop original editorial content, to explain what it is that they're doing to members of the Chocolate Life community and other communities, other chocolate communities around the world. And so I'm going to be moving more and more of what's in the top rail here. We call this the top rail. And we'll be focusing on getting some sponsorship opportunities. Again, when it comes to sponsorship opportunity, this is original content by me. I'm serving all the images. I'm serving all the links. There's nothing that, we're not going to be using any third-party advertising server or anything in terms of that. And it's all going to be stuff that I approve. So it's not going to be something that is taken without a deep understanding on my part of what it is that's going on. And that's part of why it is that I'm doing this. So I can tell you why I think it's important, what I think you should know about this. So that's going to be something that I'm looking forward to. So if you are out there watching at any point, you're an equipment manufacturer, you're sourcing cocoa beans, you have something, and it's an ingredient supplier or an equipment supplier, or you're involved in some sort of certification or other kind of activity. And what you'd like to do is you'd like to let me have an opportunity to talk about it and to be able to explain what it is that you're doing to the community. Please let me know. And also, this includes traveling to a producing country. These are things that I have done in the past, and I want to do more of them. Which is, if you're in a producing country, you have a marketing budget, right? And you're interested in, explaining what it is that you're doing, and then being able to marketing what you're doing to a broader group of people. I'm happy to come and visit you, and to be able to take photographs, original photographs, and be able to publish not only in the Chocolate Life, but to other places in the world. So I'm going to be using these places up here, the top 3 images and the rail, over the course of 2023, as I expand those kinds of opportunities. And what else? Let's go back to the, all right. So in conclusion, that's it. We're at the bottom of what it is that I did in 2022, where it is that I'm going in 2023. I want to give a shout out to the people at Encore Coffee in Kansas City, Missouri, for saying hello. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for your support of the Chocolate Life. You joined as a premium member in the month of December. I really appreciate it. Merry Happy New Year to you and to everybody else at Encore Coffee. Thank you very, very much for your support. I appreciate all of that. And with that, what I want to do is I want to say thank you to everyone, to everybody who's been a part of the journey for the Chocolate Life in 2022 and in prior years. 2020, 2021, 2022, 2022 have been just insanely difficult in many respects, not just for me, but I think for many people around the world. I am certainly, gratified by the continued support that I've gotten from people around the world, and the people who are participating in these live streams. Your support is what gives me the inspiration to continue to do what it is that I am doing. I'm always interested in your input. If you are a member, there's a dedicated member email, member.support@thechocolatelife.com. You can send me anything there. If you're not a member, now that I've told you what the email address is, I suppose you could use it. There's a general info, TCL_info, TheChocolateLife_info at TheChocolateLife.com. Anything at TheChocolateLife.com. Hey, you at TheChocolateLife.com will get to me. All the email comes to me, comes to one inbox, and I have a chance to look at everything and respond to it. Now, if I don't respond, it may be because I have gazillions of filters, and sometimes emails get put into mailboxes that I don't always look at on a regular basis, although I do look at spam and other kinds of things on a regular basis. Hopefully nothing ever goes there. But, right, you can email me and let me know, or if you are a member of the Chocolate Life, whether a free member or premium member, and you want to put a comment onto any single post on the Chocolate Life, just log in after you've joined, go down to the bottom and put a comment on the page. And I read every single comment. Whether the comment is on the Chocolate Life, whether it's on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube. I look at everything and try to respond in a timely basis. And with that, just a couple other things. Thank you very much to Wendy Jo. Thanks for all your research and sharing information about the Chocolate Life. It's my pleasure. Wendy Jo, thank you very much for joining me in my Chocolate Life. And hopefully I've inspired you to find and follow your own chocolate life. That's one of the reasons why I do this. From Scarlett, Happy New Year. Thank you very much. And to you as well. My best to you and yours for a safe, healthy, happy. It's not quite as cold here as it has been over the course of the last couple of weeks. We're consistently above freezing all day, which is a good thing. And it's going to get into the, like 15, 18 degrees centigrade today. So I'm happy. It's bright sun, no wind. Looking forward to getting out and enjoying that. And again, from Queensland, thanks. Thank you for your support. Listen, and I think this is a great way to end this particular broadcast. I'm going to end it as I end all of my broadcasts, all of these Chocolate Life live streams, which is, if you're working with chocolate and you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. And so one of the things that I hope, no matter how serious the topic might be that we're discussing, no matter where we might go, no matter how deep dive the technical aspects of things or the impact of, the social impact of what we might be talking about, is that we can talk about it in a way that, that recognizes that we're having fun. And that's the single most important thing for me in all of this, is that chocolate brings people joy. I want to share my joy of the subject with you and to let you know that I am having fun. And with that, everybody, I will be back with you with the Chocolate Life Live in 2023. And until then, again, have fun. Ciao.